The fate of Izawa Shizue by Bisel13 people around are busy. The whole situation can be described as hectic. Everybody is walking from here to there. They mostly walk in groups. Many of them are also carrying a lot of stuff. Those guards are also patrolling in a group of 4 men, wielding every weapon they have. Perhaps, the only one who didn't do any work here is Hinata and me. We've been sitting here without doing anything for more than 2 hours. I was putting my universal sense on high alert in case of another sudden attack. 1. So, to spend our free time, we've done some more talking about our purpose in this journey. The summary of our talk is this. 2. Collect Shizue-san's soul and keep it inside of me until we can figure out the rest. 3. Help anyone who's inhibited by Shizue-san's soul, so don't intentionally kill the person just to make the collecting soul could go faster. 4. Minimize our involvement in any world. We must help the one who has Shizue-san's soul, but we must do it with much restraint. 5. Using our true power is the last resort. For point number 3, it was decided after we discussed how big the scale we've been inflicted on this world. From my experience in politics, our existence could possibly make an uproar for the whole world. And with that, the conflict between Constance and his brother, Terrace, could escalate into multinational tension. It is highly possible that the nation backing up Prince Terrace wouldn't sit idly by after the last night incident. Depending on how they perceive our power, a large-scale conflict could arise between the kingdom of Caslan and the other kingdom. But neither I nor Hinata would turn our back on this. We decided to take sides with Constance, but we would do it with the utmost of bare minimum casualties. But don't let that make you think the whole conflict is going to be dealt with by my own power or Hinata alone. It's not because we can't handle thousands of enemies at this level, but the prospect in the future, when we're done in this world, would pose a grim situation to the kingdom of Caslan. Rather than handling everything by us, we must guide them so they can stand on their feet by themselves. We should leave a useful legacy to them, at least to make them able to keep their safety when we're finished in this world. Hinata added up our conversation. And she's right. If we handle everything to put up an end to this conflict, the future generation in this kingdom would possibly crumble without our help. We cannot stay in this world forever. We need to make a successor to keep conflict away. That's right, and we've been involved too much now. The more we got involved, the more they would rely too much on us. We must be careful not to get involved too much in another world like this. Yes, and next time we need to conceal our identity more seriously. Let's just take the lesson from what we've done here. You're right. Well, I guess that's it for our plan. For now, we need to finish what we started with Constance. I think we should tell Constance. We cannot take a part of his soul and then leave this world casually. Yeah, when the time is right, we need to have a talk with him about this. Hinata nodded, and our conversation stopped there. It might be strange for me to enjoy a sunrise that appears between the burned trees. But I can't shake it off, it looks stunning. The burned trees had no more leaves on them, and the woods were colored pitch black. The sky was clear without any clouds, slowly brightened with light blue color, wrapping the sky. The sound of the spinning wheel of carriages, and human voices barking at each other, added with a heavy footstep from the people nearby, somehow makes me feel calm than last night. I look at those people. They certainly fall behind compared with the cardinal world. Their lack of hygiene, clean clothes, healthy foods, and weaker physique make my resolve to help Constance win this civil war deepened. I won't involve myself too much with this world, but I would share my knowledge to develop civilization. Perhaps, I'll write a book about it or supervise the very first development program in this kingdom. So for the continuation of the developments, I'll let the next generation decide. But again, that's still too far ahead to think about it. Right now, there's a civil war that I get myself into. But I don't want to get directly involved like the last night incident unless it's necessary and no other option exists. In that sense, perhaps what I am going to do right now is contradicting my own decision, because any minute now, I'm going to teleport the whole convoy to the city of Cardinalis. I can imagine there's gonna be a lot of hassle when we finish the teleportation. And just as when I have that thought, Constance comes to us. Rimuru, we've finished with preparation. You can start anytime you want now. Good work. Is there any problem? Well, he paused for seconds with his right hand scratching the back of his head. I was actually wondering what would happen when we arrived in Cardinalis. I mean, what kind of uproar would happen caused by the people in the Cardinalis? Without any remarks, I knew he asked that to himself, and no wonder, even I couldn't imagine how big the uproar would be. It's certainly gonna cause unwanted problems, but we cannot go back right now, can we? And no, of course not. That's not what I meant. I'm sorry, I'm saying unnecessary words. No, it's okay. It's good to be able to say anything troubling us, right? Yes. Thank you once again, Rimuru. Yosh, if you're ready for it, then I'm here with you. Let's finish this up and save your people. Yes. Then, together with Constance and Hinata, I walked my way to the spot where I could perform my teleportation magic. I already explained to Constance last night that I need the people to gather around. We were gathering in a small open field, and everyone was cramped in it. The wagon they brought along was parked behind the people. I stand up on a small hill. From there, I can see the whole 20,000 people who followed Constance. Well, it's actually less than 20,000 since the last night's attack, but it's still less than 1,000 casualties. And by the way, we also capture some of the enemy's knights. From what I saw, there were around 300 knights that were being captured. They were placed between the men-at-arms. Those men-at-arms were placed near the wagon, so they were standing behind the civilians. The men-at-arms were around 2,000 people, along with professional knights, which numbered 200 men. Constance is guarded by around 10 selected knights, along with Vlan, who serves him as his personal butler. Captain Klon, who acted as the head guard, also became one of Constance's bodyguards. Constance was standing in the front line along with his bodyguards. The civilian was behind him, and the rest of the men-at-arms and knights were behind the civilian with the wagons and horses. And standing in front of them all was me facing them head-on. Even though I already have been doing this many times, I'm still not getting used to it. Especially this time, I received a strange gaze from the people. They must be in disbelief that I can do something unthinkable and only willingly do this because Constance said so. Well, luckily, this time, I didn't have to say anything. I only need to teleport them. Let's make this quick, Rimuru. Hinata suddenly spoke. Oh yeah, I almost forgot she's standing beside me. Perhaps, those strange gazes I perceived were actually meant for her. You know, for her beauty. But that's not important to think about right now. All right, let's do this. I'm ready. Master, Yosh. Without any words, I raise my hand up. Along with my raised hand, a huge light appeared on the ground. A super bright light, mixed between white and light blue, wraps the scene in front of me. With a normal eye, you won't be able to see what is going on. Perhaps, only me and Hinata can see what's going on right now. The light was gone up, with a blue circle enveloping the whole people and turning them into small particles. And before they knew it, we already arrived at the front gate of the city of Cardinalis. Huh? Many of the people let out a big gasp. Some of them only stood there in silence. Still cannot comprehend the situation. Constance is among them. The crowd soon scattered to walk around, checking the surrounding. They also touch the ground, see the sky, glance to the left and right, and do other strange activities. Is this what it looks when they see something unthinkable? And more of that. Suddenly, a dozen city guards ran towards us. Among them, surprisingly, was Captain Allen. I guess those lights from teleportation magic also appeared in the destination target. And I guess it's a pretty huge light since it can be seen by the people inside the city. The first who approached us was Captain Allen. Whwa? Johan Dono? Is that you? Awkwardly, I turned my face to him, and I tried my best to let out a smile. You know, in the hope of diffusing the tension. Why yeah, hello, Captain Allen. Nice to see you again. Peeved. I think I heard Hinata snickering at me, but it must be just my imagination. What are you doing here, Johan Dono? And what was happening before? He walked close to me while sheathed his sword. He sounds more in confused rather than panicked. But, well, he always has this loud personality. You know, that, Captain Allen, I'm glad to see you well. Suddenly I was interrupted by Constance. He came with Vlan and Captain Klon. Constance immediately raised his hand to have a shake with Captain Allen. But as you may guess, Captain Allen was more surprised to see Constance here. Why, Your Highness? Captain Allen immediately kneeled in front of Constance. Upon hearing him shouting that, the soldiers who followed him here also kneeled immediately. Meanwhile, Constance looks stunned but immediately regains his composure and lowers his hand. On your feet, Captain Allen. Yes, Captain Allen stood up, standing with a strapping pose. It's been a while, Captain. Yes, I'm overjoyed to see you well, Your Highness. How is everything going, Captain? Yes, my soldiers and I are all well. It would be a lie if I said everything is okay, but everyone is okay. That's good enough. Well done, Captain Allen. And Captain, he paused a little, as you can see, we have arrived unconventionally. Almost unthinkable and precise. But now, it's none of the matter. I bring more or less 20,000 people with me. Can you help me with arrangements? Of course. You can leave it to me, Your Highness, but... What is it, Captain Allen? I am very sorry for my rudeness, but may I ask you why Johan Dono and Isadono are here with you? Constance's face becomes confused. His eyes narrowed at him, while on the other hand, Captain Allen started to sweat. He regretted his question. But don't get misunderstood. It was none of their faults because Captain Allen was only known my fake name, while Constance only knew my real name. I guess, this time, I need to take a step. I'm sorry, Allen-san. It's a long story, but my real name is Rimuru. And Constance, don't worry, I already met him before. Huh. Not only Constance and Captain Allen who surprised, but also Captain Klon, Vlan, and Constance's bodyguards. I guess they're also confused. Well, as I thought, there's gonna be a hassle once we arrive. What do you mean by you're already met him, Rimuru? I'm sorry to ask too, but I also want to know what you mean by your real name is Rimuru, Johan Dono. That's a pretty long story, I think, and... Forgive my rudeness, but the answer can be postponed. Right now, we have to lead the people into the city and prepare for their facilities. I promise we will cooperate with you, but this time is not right to do the talks. Hinata suddenly interjected. Man, she suddenly speaks with a domineering aura. There's no magic at all in her doings. It's purely her charisma or, I should say, the scary part of her. Why yes, you're right, Hinata. We should prioritize the people first. Let's go, Captain Allen. Hinata? I mean, yes, Your Highness, I'll lead the way. Captain Allen seems to be confused as well after hearing Isa's real name, but he decides to follow an order from Constance. I bet there are a lot of questions inside Captain Allen's mind. I praise him for being able to hold it long enough. And so, without further ado, we led the civilians and the remaining forces from the convoy to enter the city. At the front of the gate, there stood a young man with a tall figure. He's wearing his casual tunic, but he has his sword on his waist. He was accompanied by several dozen of soldiers beside him, blocking the entrance to the city. Without even needing to think, I already recognize him. He's Leroy, the vice captain. Captain Allen speeds up his walk and goes towards him. They seem to be talking a bit, and I can see a lot of confusion on Leroy-san's face. But eventually, he looks stiffened up and immediately straps his pose. And when we were already near the gate, the dozen troops before were standing on the side of the road. Every one of them raises their sword above their head as we walk past them. But only after we walk past them do they dismiss themselves. It's still morning. In a normal world, it might still be around 8 a.m. When I entered the city, there was a flock of people curiously watching us. The soldiers before were quickly halting the citizen who wanted to see Constance closer. Constance doesn't seem to be disturbed by it. Instead, he's asking Captain Allen a question. Where should I be heading, Captain? I would take you to the mansion prepared by Count Billard, Your Highness. He's already preparing this place just for you. I see. His kindness is beyond words. I'm very grateful to him. Does the mansion is big enough for more guests? Yes, Your Highness. You can hold a meeting or a banquet in that mansion. That's good. All right, Rimuru, Hinata, please come with me. Johan Rimuru-sama and Hinata-sama is going to stay with you? Wait. I never said I wanted to stay in the same place with him. Constance, is it okay? We can just stay at an inn. Rimuru, you've done so much for us. I cannot treat you with such an ungrateful act. So at least, let me give you a comfortable place to stay. Well, if you insist. Then, I'll take your offer, Constance. I'm very grateful for you to accept it. Now, let's go, Captain Allen. Yes. I'll lead the way, Your Highness. We continued to walk for about 15 minutes from the gate and arrived at the mansion. Captain Allen said this is a mansion, but from the looks of it, it's a small-sized castle. It has 3 floors, white and golden-colored walls, glass windows, a wide front garden, a fountain in the front of the entrance, and many other luxurious things. We entered the building and were greeted by 4 maids, who were perfectly in line beside the door. And honestly, they all looked young and pretty. Their clothes were also clean. The interior of the mansion was also stunning, in my opinion. There was a huge, exotic chandelier hanging in the middle, and decorated armor and weapons were on display, along with portraits and paintings. There are also many beautiful flowers on every corner of the wall. It somehow gave me a brief moment that I was not in Aries. Constance gave a warm smile to the maids who greeted him and successfully made all of them blush. And then, there stood one old man with gray hair and a thick mustache coming towards us. He bowed elegantly and spoke to Constance. "Greetings, Your Highness Prince Constance. My name is Aiden. I'm the head servant and I'm entrusted by my lord, Count Billard, to serve all your needs, and with that, if you need something, just tell me right away." "Understood. I'll remember your name, Aiden-san. In that case, I need your help right away." "Sure, Your Highness. Ask me anything. I want you to give a room for Rimuru and Hinata." "Understood. You have brought a guest, I presume. Very well, but what kind of room do I have to give, Your Highness?" Are you prefer to have a single room for each other or a single room for 2? "Single room for each." Whoa, I'm not even getting the opportunity to think, but Hinata already jumps on the gun. But I agree with her decision. It's going to be awkward to be in a room with a girl, after all. I completely agree with her decision too. Even Seal strangely agreed with this mundane problem. "Oh, are you sure? How about you, Rimuru?" "I agree with Hinata." "All right. 2 rooms for them, Aiden-san. Right away, Your Highness, and with that, I'll assign one of the maids to lead you to your room." "Thank you very much. You're most welcome, Your Highness. Now, let's go Rimuru-sama, Hinata-sama." We were led to the 2nd floor, and we got our rooms as promised. Aiden-san didn't ask us anything and only led us to our rooms without saying anything other than the meal schedule and ordering some maids to be stationed near our rooms so we could call them if anything happened. And so, Hinata and I were getting into our rooms and had a rest. It feels like it's been a while since I haven't laid on the soft bed. I wondered if I should sleep. Sleeping won't change anything, but it won't cause any harm. Would you like to have a sleep right now, Master? There's nothing to worry about, right? I already tell Aiden-san that I won't need any breakfast, so I can skip the whole morning routine right now and just jump to lunchtime. Yosh, I think it's better to have some sleep. It's for camouflage anyway, to make the people think that I'm a human. Seal, make me sleep. Right away. And all of a sudden, I felt an immense drowsiness, and with pleasure, I close my eyes and sleep soundly. While Rimuru and Hinata were resting in their room, Constance was taking breakfast with Captain Allen and Captain Klon. They discussed the plan for the refugee and the combining force from the remaining troops in Constance's retinue into the Night Brigade under Captain Allen. And after that's settled, of course, there's an urge for them to know what was happening because of Rimuru and Hinata, especially Captain Allen. So, Captain Allen, I know you have a lot of questions, but let me ask you first. Why did you call Rimuru and Hinata with the name of Johan and Iza? Constance was the one who asked first. He can't contain more of his curiosity until he can't understand the bigger confusion in Captain Allen's mind. Yes, Your Highness. I shall answer that question. It was because they introduced themselves as Johan and Iza. We met with them yesterday. Yesterday? Yes, it's in yesterday afternoon. We met them in the forest, and we escorted them here to Cardinalis. Afternoon. So you met with them yesterday afternoon? When do you parting ways? After we reached the city. I only gave them some parting gift, and then they had already left. I don't know where they're going after that. I see. So that's what happens. Constance was glancing at Captain Klon, and he nodded along. It seems Captain Allen also understood what he meant. I don't know what's going on, but there must be a reason why Rimuru and Hinata use a fake name. I can't say it's not suspicious. That's right, Your Highness. But I believe they're not bad people. We were helped by them. There's no way they would go this far only for their benefit. I didn't say they're bad people, Captain Allen. In fact, they're divine beings. The transcendent beings who are beyond humanity. But it does make me wonder why they kept their identity to you. Your Highness, may I inquire more about them? I didn't mean to not believe your words, but it's rare for you to say such high definition to others. I already knew about their kind heart, but what is happening between you and them? Sir Alan, that's a pretty rude phrasing to His Highness. Captain Klon immediately rebukes Captain Alan's questions. But deep down, he understands how bizarre the whole situation is for the people who didn't see the event directly. He understood that from Captain Alan's perspective, there are so many unnatural events happening in a short time. Such as, how can Rimuru and Hinata be suddenly on Constance's side on the same day as they part with him? Why Rimuru and Hinata didn't use their real name? What was going on today? There were suddenly 20,000 people appearing out of nowhere near the city with Rimuru and Hinata between them. And most of all, who exactly are they? I'm very sorry, Your Highness, I didn't mean to be rude. No, it's okay. Captain Klon, if you were in Captain Alan's position, I believe you would do the same. So don't be harsh about it. Why yes, Your Highness. Now, I believe Captain Alan has a right to know. No, he has to know. And so, Constance continued his words by telling everything he knew about Rimuru and Hinata. From the beginning of their appearance, their prowess, their abnormal strength, the unnatural lightning, the attacks from the enemy, and he ended with the teleportation that was happening not long ago. After finishing the story, Constance realized that it all happened in a short time. He felt that it was all happening for a long time. And by that, he started to feel the exhaustion from the last night. But the discussion was not ended yet, and he would feel bad if Captain Alan didn't understand the whole situation right now. So he endured the tiredness and tried to keep himself composed and continue the discussion. Unbelievable. So their strength is beyond comprehension. I wouldn't believe it if I didn't see it by myself, Captain Alan. But please believe me, all what I said is true. Of course. I wouldn't do that kind of shameful act. I believe in you, Your Highness. Constance only responds with a smile. He has already finished his breakfast, and he's enduring drowsiness right now. He hoped that there wouldn't be another question for now. But the reality is often disappointing. Your Highness, is it okay to rely on them? Captain Klon suddenly asked. Of course Constance suddenly stopped his answer. He never thought about it seriously. Originally he thought that it was natural to rely on them. And it's not false thinking. They appeared for him and saved his people. They perform many miracles for his side. They're the miracles that he hoped for. But the fact that Rimuru and Hinata were hiding their real identity was finally bugging him. He never heard where they came from. They never mentioned what their purpose is. He quickly concludes they are the miracles he had hoped for, just because they had simply come when he had hoped to be saved by God. But what if he began to think about the other possibilities around? What if they actually have a sinister purpose? What if they are actually evil being? What if they are actually more of a disaster than a miracle? No, they appeared to be an honest person. I can see it in their faces. They want us to survive and live, he thought. He's sure by instinct that Rimuru and Hinata were not evil beings. But it's a different matter whether he could rely on them for the next event. And upon realizing this, Constance starts to regret himself for not talking it through with them last night. But anyone could realize that it's not his entire fault. He's in a panic and desperate. In such a hopeless situation, what choice does he have to fix the situation? Your Highness, Captain Klon was calling him with a concerned face. Oh, I'm sorry. I was lost in thought. Well, to answer your question, I would like to say, I don't know. I believe they are not evil beings, but I'm not sure whether they would help us next time. I understand. They're still mysterious, and what is more, about their power. It's magic, isn't it? Captain Alan was the one who continued the sentence. Right, it's a legendary power that has been lost for a long time. Many people have tried every way to recreate it. If what they used were really magic, it would cause an uproar to the whole continent. And with that alone, our kingdom would face more troublesome events. With our situation right now, it's already difficult to maintain the unification of the whole kingdom, let alone face multinational problems. That's why we need to act carefully about the last night incident. If the news about the incident got into other kingdoms, they surely would demand an explanation, or worse, an ultimatum. Your Highness, I suggest we conceal Rimuru-sama and Hinata-sama's existence. We have to avoid having them directly involved in a battle. But Sir Klon, although I agree with your suggestion, I have to say it's impossible. There are 20,000 people who witness their power. As much as I hate to think about it, there might be one of them who's a spy from another country. It's already impossible to conceal their involvement, let alone their existence. Then what should we do? On the other hand, we cannot truly rely on them. We don't even know who they are. You know it by yourself, Sir Alan. We cannot involve anyone in the war unless we trust them completely. No, it's already too late to think about it. We have to ask them to join us in battles. Although we didn't know their real purpose, I'm sure what they wanted was a win for our side. Your Highness, I understand what Sir Klon is trying to say. But it's too late to avoid a large-scale conflict. We have to ask for Rimuru-sama and Hinata-sama cooperation. Sir Alan, are you serious? That means we would take advantage of the kind nature of Rimuru-sama and Hinata-sama. You know it's contradictory to our principles. Our problems should be dealt with on our own. And that's our honor as a proud knight. I know it's damaging our honor as a knight, but what can we do right now? We cannot conceal their involvement. At the same time, we would be facing a larger threat from neighboring countries. Please think realistically, Sir Klon. That's enough, Captain Klon and Captain Allen. Why yes. Both of the captains are suddenly silent. They were embarrassed by the fact they were arguing with each other in front of Constance. I understand from both of you. But we cannot determine the solution by arguing with each other like this. From the basic of it, we're already wrong in the beginning. What do you mean, Your Highness? We were trying to decide what Rimuru and Hinata should do without any knowledge about what they might be planning. It's ridiculous to decide the fate of a divine being such as them, who have done so much to help us. Yes, you were right, Your Highness. But, Your Highness, what shall we do then? I'll talk to them directly, you can leave it to me. At the same time as Constance and the other two captains were having breakfast together, the city officials were busy taking care of the refugees. The sudden arrival of 20,000 people from other territories was a hassle in every aspect. Realistically, it would be a piece of cake if those refugees had a relative in this city or enough money to start a new life. But the reality is different. Among those refugees, only a few of them have relatives or friends who are kind enough to accommodate them. And not only that, most of them are penniless and only bring their minimum belongings. Aware of the refugees' conditions, Count Billard already anticipated this by allowing the use of the city emergency supply until another shipment arrived. Because of it, at least there are none of the refugees were starving. But there's some good side to the arrival of the refugees. There are some vacant jobs that need to be filled, and with the refugees coming along, there's a possibility to use them as cheap labor. The skilled people could be easily used and quickly determined for their job, such as blacksmiths, bakers, tailors, and merchants. All of these kinds easily would get a better start in new life. But the problem lies in the unskilled people. They would have a hard time starting a new life, but they could be useful as well. They could be turned into serfs and levy troops. And divide between the skilled people and unskilled people would require an assessment by the city's official. This work was also done at the same time as the food ration distribution. The one who oversaw this work was the group of knights led by the vice-captain of the 10th Night Brigade, Leroy Earhart. Leroy was in a bad state. He's been restless for days, and last night he barely had any sleep. He has been working on paperwork that actually was Captain Allen's work. He's been starving for 3 days before he was finally able to eat properly yesterday, and just as this morning started, he saw a gigantic light appear from the ground outside the gate of the city. The worst thing is he still cannot understand the whole event that just happened today. The sudden appearance of the refugees, Prince Constance, and his newly known people, Johann Dono and Isadono. No matter how hard he thinks, he cannot find any possible answer to explain the whole situation. And for that, he already gave up understanding the situation and focused on his job today. He's here not just to oversee the whole work but also to help. He gave guidance to the refugees, distributed food rations, and sometimes he's replacing the overworked city official in determining whether the refugees had a skill or not. Although it was a lot of work, Leroy was still doing it with such diligence. Right now, he didn't want to think about his bad state. All inside his mind was to do his job properly. But that's actually false. There is something else besides the job inside his mind. It was his family. He has a wife and 2 sons. His wife is a beauty with a gentle heart named Vinny. Both of his sons are still under 8 years old, with Albert the oldest at 7 years old and Bolwin the youngest at 5 years old. He had missed them so much. He had never been able to see them since the conflict started. The conflict between Prince Terrace and Prince Constance was already happening for 10 months. Every day, he's been anxious about hearing any news about his family being the victim of the war. He waited for any news from them, but he was scared of it at the same time. But nevertheless, he's still waiting for them in every wave of refugees. Knowing this was the last wave of refugees, he had high hopes of reuniting with his family. He took every chance to interact with every refugee, asking if they somehow knew his family. Every time he asked the refugees, he placed the hope of finding an answer. But then, you mean, a young woman with 2 kids? What do they look like? An elderly man asks back to Leroy. Well, she has a beautiful face with white skin and long black hair. I don't know what she was wearing, since it's been a while since I haven't seen her. And she must be carrying 2 kids, and both are male. My wife's name is Vinny. Oh, Vinny-san. Yes. Yes. I remember. She's in the back of the convoy. You sure are a lucky man. She is such a charming woman, and your kids are going to be a strong lad, I tell ya. Leroy's eyes were fired up. He could feel a fire of hope ignited inside his heart. Really? Oh, thank God. Thank you so much. Please tell me, good sir, where the last time did you see them? Sorry, my boy. I was immediately unconscious when the attacks came. When I woke up, I didn't see Vinny-san anywhere, nor her kids. Leroy's heart felt suddenly stopped. Attack? What do you mean, good sir? You didn't know? We were attacked last night by a bunch of knights, but they were actually ignoring us. The worst one was actually those men in black robes. They're terrible, I tell ya. I didn't remember anything after I was slashed by one of them. Slashed? Leroy couldn't understand the meaning of this elderly man's words. Slashed? Unconscious? You mean, you were slashed by the enemy and only unconscious because of it? But I didn't see any wounds on his body. Is he lying? Leroy tried to grasp the words which were spoken by that elderly man. Yeah, son. Even I didn't know what was really happening. All I know, I was slashed and unconscious. And when I woke up, the attackers had been killed. But there's also a lot from the refugees who fell victim. It's a horrible scene. Huh? As the words come through his ears, it becomes scarier. Leroy becomes very uneasy. He's beginning to not believe this old man. But then... Oh, are you talking about the last night incident? Other refugees come along. This one is a young female in her 20s. Incident? I'm sorry, young miss, but can you give me the details about it? Of course, everyone knows about it anyways. Last night there were attackers wearing black robes. They're very nasty people. They robbed our belongings, killed our men and children, and raped the woman. I was lucky to be able to run away since I was in the middle of the convoy. But the people in the back, I'm not sure, were able to run away or not. I felt very sorry for them. And Vinny is among the refugees who stayed in the back of the convoy. My boy, the last time I saw her, she was in the back, but I really wished she'd survived. Sir, who is this Vinny? She's my wife. I'm so sorry, sir. I don't know what happens to them. We dug a mass grave for the victims who died, and it was a lot of people who were buried there. I see. Leroy's lumped his shoulders. He didn't notice it, but his eyes lost the spirit he had a moment before. He's surprisingly calm. No, he's more confused about what he's feeling right now. What am I thinking? Why'd I think it's as expected? That's right. Leroy was already thinking about the worst possibility for his family. He didn't like it, nor even wished it would come true. It's the otherwise. He's scared of it to death. But at the same time, that possibility always showed up inside his mind, no matter the high hope he had. Sorry, I need to go somewhere else. Thank you for your time. Leroy forcibly tried to part ways with the elderly man and young woman. But he's indeed more needed somewhere else. He only took the chance to ask the refugees about his family. And, after knowing about their truth, he's done. All he has now is his job. Leroy continues his job sorting the refugees between the skilled and unskilled. Inside his heart, he still carried a hope that he might be finding his wife's name or his son's. No matter which one, he wanted them to survive. If one of them is gone, it's still better than all of them. But fate seemed to be against his hope that day. He's been doing this from the afternoon until evening. And sadly for him, there was no his family among the refugees. Leroy's heart sank deeper. I'm sorry. That's the only word he can think of. It's not clear whether he felt sorry for not being able to protect them or he felt sorry for the fact he already expected this. But, those are not matters anymore. His family had died, nothing he could do. At that moment, Leroy starts to think about visiting the mass grave. He promises to himself once the war has ended, he will straightly visit them without any delays. He also promises to bring a beautiful flower with him. Late at night, Leroy is already back to base. He didn't have anything to do right now. So he can lie down on his bed for the first time after a couple of days without rest. The stress must be immense, and yet, he's just lying down with the eye open. He couldn't sleep at all. He's scared to close his eyes, because whenever he closed his eyes, all he could see was his wife carrying his 2 children. Seeing them right now was an unsightly scene for him. Realizing he cannot be with them anymore hurts him so much. No, I cannot be like this. I need to move on. He tried to think about his position. He still has a life. He still has a lot of debt of gratitude. Captain Allen, his comrades, Prince Constance, and lastly, Rimuru and Hinata. He tried to think about them. He tried to think about what he could do to repay the debt. But what he got was a sudden knock on his door. Leroy, you awake? It was Captain Allen's voice. Yes, Captain. Wait a second. He gets up from his bed and quickly opens the door. Once he opened the door, there stood a bulky man whose name was Captain Allen. Yo, I heard what you've been through today, is that so? Yeah, I'm so sorry for that. Don't worry, Captain, it's not your fault. It's hard time. I cannot let my precious subordinate feel so down. So how about having a drink in my office? I just got some nice booze from His Highness. It's better than just lying down on the bed without being able to sleep. How do you know that? Well, you're not the only one who lost someone precious. Captain Allen's voice was really sincere. His face was soft enough to make anyone who saw it would doubt it was a face of a veteran knight. But here, Leroy could see a soft spot from his captain. He didn't really want to talk with anyone right now, but at the same time, he didn't want to be alone. All right, Captain. I guess I'll take that offer. That's good. Let's go. After locking the door, Leroy followed Captain Allen's lead. As he said, they would have a drink inside Captain Allen's office. After a few seconds of walking, they arrived at the door. And as normally it is, the door is closed. You open it, Leroy. All right. Leroy opened the door, and he could see from the floor that the room was unusually brighter. He immediately raises his head. Suddenly, there was a figure standing in front of the desk. There are 3 figures, 1 adult woman and 2 children. And before he could see them clearly, Dad. The 2 children ran towards him while shouting. Leroy couldn't understand it for seconds. He thought he was seeing a ghost. But those children didn't let go of their hug. Instead, they grip at him tighter. Dad. I really miss you. What? Leroy couldn't see. His view becomes blurry. At first thought, he thought it was a sign of collapsing. But it's not. A gentle touch can be felt on his cheeks. A soft white skin from a woman he loved the most was touching his cheeks, wiping away his tears. I'm here, dear. Immediately, 2 pair of hands were hugging him. A warm and soothing gentle touch was circling around his neck. Before he realizes it, he already moves his arms towards them. With teary eyes, he hugs them all. There's no sound. But there's a joy. There are no words spoken. But there's a feeling delivered. There are tears. But there are smiling hearts. And without any one of them knowing, it was Rimuru who saved them. What lies in this world? I think it's been around 3 hours since I fell asleep. My body didn't feel any refreshed, but the feeling of waking up from sleep was surely nostalgic. And because sleeping wasn't necessary, I could wake up immediately. Unlike some particular humans who find it difficult to wake up after sleeping. When I woke up, I could feel a presence of a maid near the door. She might be didn't meant to monitor me, but it sure felt strange to find myself being waited by someone constantly like this. So I want to ease her up and invite her to my room. No, don't think of any inappropriate things. I just wanted her to relax. There's no ulterior motive at all. I opened the door and immediately saw the maid. She's standing beside the door, and when our eyes meet, she's startling a bit. She apologized for no reason and asked me if I wanted to eat something. I was a bit curious, but I knew this city was actually on a tightrope of supply. Besides, I don't feel hungry at all. So I decline. I ask her back if she feels sore from standing there for a long time, but she just shakes her head. Instead, she's asking me if I want to walk around the manor. She offered herself to become a guide. I gently decline because I think it's better to have a meeting with Constance right now. But it turns out she said I can't do that for now. Why? Is something happening? No, His Highness is asleep right now. I think he needs a good rest. Oh, yeah, he really needs it. I feel like an idiot because I forgot that Constance was having no sleep last night. Oh well, so then I guess I have no choice other than to spend time relaxing. And hey, isn't that my original purpose? Alright, I decided. I'm going to have a stroll around the city. But just as when I intended to say it to her, someone was suddenly arriving. Oh my, Rimuru-sama. Nice to see you again today. Oh, Captain Allen, it's been a while, isn't it? Ha ha ha. We just met yesterday, Rimuru-sama. And by the way, please just call me Allen. Right, sorry, it feels like it's been a long time. So, you won't mind if I call you Allen-san? Without honorific is okay. Rimuru-sama. And don't worry about it, Rimuru-sama. Me too. It feels like it's been a while since yesterday. Ha ha ha, glad to hear it. That means I'm not alone who felt it. Of course it is. I'm sure everyone involved in it also felt the same. By the way, Rimuru-sama, what are your plans today? Well, I was intending to talk with Constance, but it seems he's still asleep. So I wanted to take a stroll around the city. Oh, is that so? Then let me accompany you, are you sure? Of course. It would be my pleasure, Rimuru-sama. Yosh. Then, I'll take that offer. Then, without anything more to say, we started to walk outside the manor and head to the city, but then... I'm coming as well. Suddenly, Hinata was already behind us with a plain expression. I was surely off guard until I didn't feel her presence, so I was a bit surprised, but not as surprised as Allen-san. Hinata-sama, I didn't notice you at all. I was here since a while ago. Is that so? All right, I'm coming with you. Is that okay? Sure. That would be my pleasure, Hinata-sama. Without any further chatter, we walk ourselves out of the manor. Allen-san guided us on our stroll. We went sightseeing around the city. Apart from the market, I didn't know the place at all. I was especially interested in residential areas and a hub system that connects to the other cities. The city was estimated to have 100,000 residences and has increased significantly since the conflict between Constance and Prince Terrace was started. There are many refugees who are staying here, which is estimated to be around 30,000 refugees in total. And this is one of the reasons why the supplies in this city are getting dwindling. For me, this is an important matter to be finished quickly. And I knew this was going to involve many factors. Hinata, meanwhile, she's more interested in the city defense and manpower that gathered under Constance's banner. She and Allen-san immediately have a conversation on the same page as each other. At first, I can see a surprised expression on Allen-san's face. I guess he's surprised by the fact that Hinata can speak easily, unlike yesterday when she didn't let out a single word. Then, can I go to the barracks? Hinata suddenly asks. No problem at all, Hinata-sama. Allen-san doesn't bother at all. In fact, he looks very pleased. I suspect he has some motive for it. Pretty much I can guess what is Hinata's intention, but I wonder if Allen-san also had the same intention as her. We walked ourselves to the barracks that we already visited yesterday, and to my surprise, there seemed to be a lot more soldiers here than yesterday. The remaining retinue from Constance has been placed here. Oh, right, I almost forgot. These men-at-arms were already considered soldiers. It's no wonder that they were placed in barracks. Seems like this place has become livelier. Hinata made a statement, which spontaneously replied Allen-san. Yes, we've combined the remaining force from His Highness in Holgan into our 10th Night Brigade. How many exactly? Around 2,000 strong, and from our Night Brigade, we originally have 500 knights, but we were also recruiting right now, and we already have roughly 900 men. Honestly, that sounds very small. How much does the enemy have? It's very hard to tell since Prince Terrace has another country's backing, but if it counted from Night Brigade alone, he should have around 4,500 knights. Is the Night Brigade this nation's main army? No, Hinata-sama, Night Brigade is a special detachment. It's only serving the royal family, not the nation as a whole. As for the main army, there's an army order under the warlord. Who's the warlord? Right now, the warlord is Marquis Hallinger. Only a king can choose the warlord. And the nation's army can only obey the warlord. How many armies that this nation have? That's a difficult question, so I cannot give you an exact number. But all I can say is we may use the term main army, but the reality is every army were scattered around the fief, and the noble of the region were permitted by the warlord to use the army as the security forces in their region. So they would unite if the warlord were calling them? Yes, that's right, Hinata-sama. So why Marquis Hallinger didn't stop this conflict? That's Alan Sand scratched his head. He also seems confused, but he wants to answer that question. I tried to make a guess, but I don't know the whole system in this nation's government. So I kept quiet and waited for Alan Sand's answer. I honestly didn't know about it either. I'm not very knowledgeable about this. I'm very sorry, Hinata-sama. Whoops, he chose to be honest and admit he didn't know. Okay, that's fine. I am still wondering about it, but I guess now is not a good time to seek it. So what do you plan for today, Alan Sand? Honestly, I have a plan to train the new recruits, but... I'm very sorry for my rudeness, Hinata-sama, but may I ask you to train us? I have heard about your sword skill from His Highness, and I wonder if you might be able to teach us your combat skill? Alan Sand was asking Hinata with a sudden formal and nervous tone, but Hinata was smiling and replied. Of course. That was my intention to come here. Really? Yes, but be prepared. My training won't be easy. Of course. We are willing to do anything to be better. That's good. Now, what are you waiting for? How about Rimuru-sama? Alan Sand suddenly gazed at me. Oh boy, he seemed to be thinking that I was going to join the training as well. I didn't mean that I didn't want to, but I don't see myself suited for teaching combat skills. I think Hinata is better suited for training soldiers. I'm not suited for battle, ha ha ha. I let out an awkward laugh. Yeah, I know, it sounds lame. But really, I don't feel like I could train them to be a better soldier. If you don't want to, that's fine. I'll leave other matters to you then. Hinata suddenly replied. Well, don't make me look like I don't want to, okay? I just think that I would be more suited in other things. Yeah, I understand. You better help Constance deal with the other problems. You can leave that to me, so I leave you to handle this one. Sounds good to me. Okay, Alan Sand, let's go. My apologies, Rimuru-sama, are you all right about going back alone? No problem at all. Good luck with the training, Alan Sand. Thank you, Rimuru-sama, and so, I leave Hinata and Alan Sand to train the soldiers. While Rimuru heads back to the manor, Captain Allen immediately gathers the new recruits and some knights who are present. The man-at-arms who just arrived this morning didn't participate since they needed time to rest. Even so, many of them gathered in different places to watch. Meanwhile, Hinata was thinking about what she should teach since there's no magicule in this world. And how about spirits? Sadly, there is also none of them. Without any magicule, she could not teach any of them elemental magic. Hence, she didn't even be able to cast any elemental magic since she was resisting the magicule itself. But what annoyed her more was she could not teach any mystic art. She also couldn't teach holy magic since it's required to control spiritrons. Without making any pact with God, it's impossible to control spiritrons. So, in the end, all she could teach was some basic swordsmanship and how to fight in groups. She knew that these knights were already trained to do a battle in good order, but she still wondered how good they were at it. After thinking about all of this, Hinata let out a small sigh. She was thinking about how hard it would be. But at least she didn't have to deal with other problematic problems. That's right, Hinata let Rimuru handle more complex problems such as political intrigue, diplomacy, economy, etc. Hinata-sama. Yes. Hinata spontaneously answers other questions. To her surprise, she was in deep thought before and realized that Captain Allen had been calling her several times. We're ready. Hinata-sama. Okay, good. Now, the first lesson. Captain Allen, let's have a spar. Sure. Hinata and Captain Allen positioned themselves at a good distance. Both of them are readying their stance with their wooden sword. "Come and attack me, Captain Allen." "All right." Then, Captain Allen ran without any seconds to waste, charging forward with all his might. He raised his sword and intended to swing it from the upside. Hinata was still standing in her place without moving an inch. When Captain Allen swung his sword, Hinata easily blocked it and immediately pushed it back. Captain Allen was pushed back a little but immediately regained his stance. Without any second to waste, he charges again at Hinata with a full swing. At first sight, he seems to be intending to swing vertically toward Hinata's head, and he did, which made Hinata feel disappointed by how straightforward the attack is. But she immediately saw Captain Allen's eyes. He didn't look at the end of the sword's trajectory end, instead, she was looking at her torso. For a split second, she almost thought that it was a lewd gaze from Captain Allen, but soon she realized that was not the right answer. Captain Allen's sword clashed with Hinata's sword, blocking his swing with her right hand, but then Captain Allen immediately kicked Hinata's stomach. He thrust his leg towards Hinata's stomach without hesitation. But alas, Hinata already foresaw it and blocked the kick with her left hand. It's not just blocking, but she caught Captain Allen's leg. Captain Allen's eyes winced, as he didn't expect his leg to be caught. He expects it to be blocked, but not to the point of being caught. And before he could think of another move, Hinata pulled his leg and made him lose balance. Captain Allen immediately falls. The match seems already over since Captain Allen already fell. But it turns out, it hasn't. He then kicked Hinata's right hand, trying to make her fall too. But again, it's futile. When he kicked Hinata's right leg, he felt as if he kicked a statue. Hinata doesn't seem disturbed a bit, and on the other hand, Captain Allen seems surprised. But without any more seconds to waste, he immediately stands on his feet again. But this time, he didn't immediately attack. He keeps his distance from Hinata, thinking the other way to attack. Deep inside his heart, he already admitted he could not win against Hinata. But only if I can hit her once, just once, is what he's thinking. He wanted to be seen as someone who had potential, and he wanted to prove that he had the will to do everything to improve himself. Resist as long as I still exist is what he thought. Hinata didn't seem to want to attack and went on defense. So he thought that he could attack her as much as he wanted. And the thing is, he concluded that Hinata wanted the match over with him surrendering by himself saying it. She wanted to test how much capability he had, without dealing any blows to him. So as long as he still can continue, the match won't be over. She proved it through her actions before. When I fell, she didn't point her sword at me, instead, she let me go by distancing myself from her. Captain Allen said it to himself inside his heart. He felt slightly annoyed since it meant he was being toyed with, but he still accepted it since he believed that what happened right now could make the future different. Then, he decided to not go on hitting her with full power. Instead, he was going to use minimal strength and compensate for it with speed. He intended to make a barrage of swings rather than one powerful move. After deciding, he charges again at Hinata. This time he's aiming toward Hinata's torso by thrusting his sword. Although he knew his attack would be deflected, he still did it. Instead, that was his aim. By doing a continuous attack, he will try to make Hinata deflect his sword rather than block it. And with that, he hoped he could find an opening and use it. And it worked. After thrusting his sword, Hinata deflects his sword and the series of continuous attacks begins. Captain Allen tries every move he can. He swings his sword vertically, horizontally, and diagonally, even when he uses the hilt and kicks. But after some time passed, he couldn't find any opening from Hinata. She's very fast. After deflecting his attack, she was immediately in a good position to defend against another attack. He tried some feints but never worked. Captain Allen began to be frustrated but desperately tried to maintain his calm. He kept his mind calm, even though his feelings starting to boil with frustration. "That's good. You have managed to exceed my expectations, Captain Allen." Hinata suddenly spoke in the middle of the duel. "Ha, ha, for you to never show an opening, you are truly amazing, Hinata-sama." Captain Allen was almost out of breath, and he kept his distance from Hinata. Right now, he didn't attack her because he saw an opportunity to take a breath after Hinata spoke. "No, you're more amazing, Captain Allen. You kept on trying and you used your brain to attack. That's pretty rare to see. It's such a honor to be complimented by you, Hinata-sama. Ha." Now Captain Allen realized, he's really been pushing himself too much. He's not just out of breath, but he almost collapsed. His vision starting to blur. It's gonna be impossible to continue the duel, nevertheless achieving his target to be able to hit her just once, and he realizes it. Nevertheless, he still wants to continue. As his principal said, he will resist as long as he exists. So, until he really collapsed, he would continue to try to make a score at her. And Hinata, realizing Captain Allen was nearly collapsed in the current state, was ready to conceive and end the duel. She regretted it a bit, thinking it was her fault for pushing him to this point. So she asks him, "How about we end this spar for today? You've done very well." "No, please no, Hinata-sama. I can still continue." "Don't push yourself too much, Captain." "Don't worry about myself, Hinata-sama. I can still continue." Captain Allen then readied his sword once again. Although his face is pale from exhaustion, his eyes show how determined he is. And Hinata sees it as well. "All right then. But given your condition, I would only allow one more attack. How about it, Captain?" "Okay." Captain Allen agrees with that proposal. Right now, he has already given up on throwing feints or trying to launch a series of attacks. And for that, he thought that the only thing he could do right now was to hit her with everything he had. He readied his stance once again, put both of his hands on the sword, and took a long deep breath. When he took a deep breath, he closed his eyes. He wanted to have a moment to clear his mind. He wants to make peace with it, with the purpose of ignoring the fatigue. If he succeeds, he can focus on his last attack and channel every ounce of strength he has to his hand. But when he finished taking a deep breath, he felt something strange. He felt some surge of power, flowing all over his body. His body becomes lighter, and his blurry vision becomes clear. He didn't understand what it was. So, he brushed it off as adrenaline that kicks up and makes him imagining himself that he has strength more than before. "Hey, at least I can finish my duel with a satisfied feeling," he thought. He didn't believe he become more powerful right now, but he was delighted to be able to think that he become more stronger in the last moment. "All right, here we go," he shouted to himself. "Here I come, Hinata-sama." As he finished his shout to Hinata, he ran forward with all his last remaining strength. He felt that his step became lighter, and every step became more powerful, giving him more momentum to give a deadly hit. He smirked, thinking he was crazy to imagining things at the final blow he could give. He continues his action by jumping with both hands holding a sword above his head. Hiya! Clang whoosh! He felt a bump on his sword and felt that the wind had passed by. He opens his eyes and sees Hinata has blocked his sword. When he saw it, he immediately thought, again, I failed to achieve my goal. Then, he felt that all of the parts of the body had lost their strength. He has lost all of his stamina, and he cannot move an inch in any part of his body. He felt he was going to pass out, as his vision had gone darker and darker. But the moment he's gonna fell, he saw something that made him confused. For a very brief moment, he looks at Hinata's eyes, and at that moment, he saw Hinata's eyes were widened. From the eyes alone, he can conclude that Hinata was surprised. But why? He asks himself. But before he can get the answer, he collapsed. He falls to the ground, with his consciousness gone. Hinata grabs his body, preventing him to fall before he touches the ground. It was a spontaneous move, as her mind was still preoccupied with an event that had happened before. What she saw was a sudden emergence of power from Captain Allen. She saw that Captain Allen suddenly ran faster, jumped higher, and gave her a more powerful blow. No, even before that, she had already seen something strange. The moment Captain Allen finished taking a breath, she sensed that something had gotten inside of Captain Allen's body. And to make it more confusing, that something wasn't a spiritual creature like spirit or demons who can possess a human. It's like some sort of particle. She didn't know what it was, but she had already seen what it could do to a human. She saw that the last attack from Captain Allen was much more powerful than before. If she kept holding back like before, she would get hit by that attack. What is that? She asks herself. Maybe there is some sort of unknown power in this world, but if so, why I didn't feel it? She's trying to understand more of it. She didn't deny the existence of this unknown power, since she already saw it directly from Captain Allen just a second ago. But she didn't know what is this power. I'll have to discuss it with Rimuru. Meanwhile, I will try to see if anyone other than Allen-san can do it too. She decided to gain more data by testing if other people in there could also put that mysterious particle inside of their body, and then she'd discuss it with Rimuru. And after she decided that, she looked around and saw that many of the spectators were in awe watching their duel. All right. We'll begin our training. Anyone who wants to train, come here and get your weapons. Hinata shouted an order to the knights and other soldiers who were present. Her first intention to do a spar with Captain Allen was to assess the knight's ability in fighting, but instead, she found something more interesting. And so, the training has changed into an experiment. Hinata readied herself to push every single person who was training with her. I left Hinata to train with the soldiers while I was heading back to the manor. I can trust her with the military power issue to her. Meanwhile, I was handling other things. Well, I can't say that I felt relieved to handle the other parts, but in this way, I can minimize my involvement. I walked my way to the manor, and at that time I realized that the sun had nearly set from the sky. Perhaps, it's already around 5 p.m. In that case, I guess Constance is already awake. When I arrived at the manor, I saw a small crowd at the front gate. There were many well-equipped soldiers, around 20 of them, guarding one man with a noble attire. I stopped my move before reaching the gate, to see who actually is. But after some seconds, what I saw was Constance greeting that man with a warm shake hand. He seems rather cheerful seeing that man, and the man also treats Constance with high respect. I wonder who that man is. But more importantly, what should I do now? Should I come there now? Or wait for both of them to enter the manor? Well, I didn't want to disturb anything, so I decided to wait, but because I was very curious, I also decided to enhance my hearing and overheard what they're talking about. Good to see you well, Your Highness, the man said. Likewise, Count Billard. And please don't lower yourself that low, I am indebted a lot to you. I wouldn't survive this far if it were not for your help. Oh please, you're flattering me, Your Highness. I was merely doing what I should have done as this kingdom aristocrat. You've done this far because of your own deeds, Your Highness. Oh, so this man is a nobleman? I heard once about Count Billard from Constance, and it seems he also has a high regard for him. Whoever Constance put someone in high regard, I guess I can trust that man too. No, you're the one who flattering me, Lord Billard. I almost did nothing important. But please, I do not think this is a good place to talk. How about we come inside and continue our talks inside this manor? Understood. I accept your offer, Your Highness. Both of them walked inside the manor together, side by side. I saw that Vlan, Aiden, and other bodyguards were also coming in. While I was still standing here, still hesitant to come inside as well. Moments later, I saw Captain Klon walking outside with several knights with fully equipped armor. They take a stand at the front gate. It seems they're tightening the security from the moment Count Billard was coming. And so, I decided to walk up to him. Perhaps having a little chat with him would give me some better insight on what should I do as a guest in this manor. Good evening, Captain Klon. I greeted him. Oh, good evening, Rimuru-sama. I heard you've been sightseeing with Hinata-sama and Sir Alan. How is it, Rimuru-sama? It's a good moment, I enjoy it a lot. By the way, is that Count Billard who has just arrived? Yes, it is, Rimuru-sama. His Highness seems very delighted about his visit. Ah, I just remembered, His Highness Constance has been asking about you since he woke up. I'm sorry, but I think you should meet him immediately, Rimuru-sama. Eh? Really? But he seems busy right now with Count Billard. No problem, Rimuru-sama. You're His Highness's guest. Every guest from royalties was always put in high regard. Really? But are you sure I won't be a bother? Of course not, Rimuru-sama. His Highness has been waiting for you. Oh okay, I'll come inside right away. Yes please. I walked my way inside the manor. I found two maids guarding the entrance, and they immediately bowed themselves upon my arrival. Then, one of them spoke to me. Rimuru-sama, I have been entrusted to relay a message for you from His Highness. Who? Please tell me. Yes, His Highness said to ask you if you're back to please immediately come to the guest room. Got it. Can you lead me there please? Understood, I shall escort you, Rimuru-sama. She lead me to the guest room near the backyard. It's full of decorative plants, and honestly, it looks very beautiful. I entering myself to the room and found Constance was in a pretty serious talk with Count Billard. They both sit on a nice red sofa, facing each other. But once I opened the door to enter, Constance automatically glances at me and stands up to walk towards me. Ah, Rimuru, I've been waiting. Where's Hinata? Sorry to make you wait. Hinata is with Alan-san, doing some training. I see, that's good to hear. Oh, I'm sorry to ask you to come here. Did I bother you? Not at all. I was curious about what happened since I saw Count Billard at the front entrance. Oh yes. Let me introduce you, Rimuru. This is Count Billard Greetham, Lord of Neville Fiefdom. Count Billard, this is my guest and savior that I've mentioned before, Rimuru Tempest. After being introduced, Count Billard stood up and bowed to me. Greetings, Rimuru Tempest-sama. As His Highness introduced, my name is Billard Greetham, Lord of Neville. It's a pleasure to meet you. He has a very gentle demeanor, his movement is refined, and his voice is low. He looks rather old, but not in his 50s, he's the same height as me but with a wider body and thick mustache. He reminds me of King Drum from Bloomond. Nice to meet you too, Count Billard. It's a pleasure to meet Constance's friendly counterparts. Ho ho, please just call me by my name, Rimuru-sama. His Highness is putting you in high regard. It is my stand to treat you as my superior as well. Oh, if that is so, may I call you Billard-san? That's sufficient, Rimuru-sama. Now, forgive me, but since you've already arrived, shall we continue our discussion, Your Highness? Yes, of course. Rimuru, I hope you don't mind joining our discussion. No problem. I'll help as long it's in my capability. We all sat down on the sofa, and I sat beside Constance. For a moment, I kept quiet while Constance talked about the current situation and last night's incident to Billard-san. Billard-san was listening in great interest. This is a good opportunity to listen to the whole situation, although it's still not a complete explanation. From what I understand from this talk, Billard-san has been accepting refugees from Holgan Principality, which is Constance's territory. There are actually other nobles who accept the refugees, but they only accept the civilians and refuse to give protection to Constance alone. Billard-san was the only noble who gave support to Constance, while other nobles tried to stay neutral and didn't pick any side from either Constance or Terrace. But I want to understand more about the whole situation. The very first thing that I wanted to know is what was the reason that caused this conflict. But I guess I have to keep it for myself until the opportunity arises. And with Rimuru's power, we managed to arrive in this city safely. Constance ended his part with those remarks. Billard-san seems to think about this whole event. I guess he's trying to accept it, rather than to understand it. Well, somehow I felt that it was something usual if someone is in a difficult situation to understand my doings. So Rimuru-sama has a legendary power of magic. That question is surprisingly directed at Constance. And he seems to be quite hesitant to answer it. But what makes me a bit surprised is they both seem to know the terms of magic. All right, this is interesting. So I decided to wait for Constance's answer. Why yes, it seems Rimuru has the legendary power of magic. Rimuru-sama, may I ask you to confirm it? Now he's directing his question toward me. Well, it's actually more than just magic, but essentially, yes, it's magic. This is very interesting, yet very troublesome, Your Highness. Billard-san immediately said to Constance after hearing my answer. Yes, I knew that already, Count Billard. Excuse me? May I know the trouble? I asked both of them. I knew that my existence here could make a ruckus, but I didn't know the details. Now I came to know that this world might know magic, but from the looks of it, it seems magic is some kind of prohibited power. Billard-san glanced at Constance, expressing his confusion. Your Highness, I'm sorry to be rude, but hasn't you told Rimuru-sama about it? Last night I was very desperate to face the situation, so it didn't cross my mind even for a moment. This morning I already talked about it with Captain Allen and Captain Klon, but I was exhausted and decided to have a rest. Unbeknownst to me, I slept longer than I planned. I'm very sorry for this. I understand. I'm sorry for asking a rude question as well, Your Highness. May I explain it? By your will, Count Billard. All right. Rimuru-sama, I hope you don't mind being lectured by me. Sure, please enlighten me, Billard-san. Then, Billard-san started his explanation, from the beginning of the appearance of magic. Billard-san started with the condition of the kingdom of Caslan several hundred years ago. At that time, the kingdom was a very poor country. After some disastrous natural event, the land has no fertile soil to grow a plant, nor to grow a crop. So it's very difficult to procure food for its people. With no specialty product, it's difficult to trade with other countries. It's no wonder that the kingdom of Castland is on the verge of collapsing. But then, just as when the king at that time tried to make a deal with more powerful countries to become their vassal, someone with unbelievable power appeared out of nowhere. That someone was an adult female, with long blue hair and with exotic dress. She likes holding a fan in her hands, and what's surprising is she's in deep love with the king. And her name is Bisel13. I couldn't keep my composure after hearing that name. I mean, Bisel13. What is she doing here, and what's that? Several hundred years ago. Bisel13 has been on a journey to find Rudra's soul. This world must be one of the worlds she visited, Master. Ah, I almost forgot. Yeah, that's right. Bisel13 has been traveling to another world, beyond time and space to search Rudra's soul. I see, for Bisel13, it's been 100 or even thousands of years she's been on her journey. But she eventually came back to Cardinal World just a moment after I defeated her. And that's exactly what I'm doing right now. Rimuru-sama, is everything all right? Both Bisel13 and Constance looked in surprise after my, It seems they find it intriguing. It's all right. So Bisel13, all right. I think I can understand the rest of it. But why does everyone become wary of magic power? Well, after Bisel13 is gone, nobody has been able to do the same. The power of magic is just gone, without any trace. Many people tried to search for it. Some kingdoms even did massive research to recreate magic. But none of them succeed. Rather, there's a horrible accident because of that. This time Constance was the one who explained it to me. Horrible accident? I asked back to him. Yes, it's around 300 years ago. There's someone unknown from the kingdom of Magna, who reported as almost succeeding in recreating magic. But then, it took to a horrible accident. The kingdom immediately asked that man to share his findings and immediately applied it to the military. But this unknown person refused, and in return, he obliterated anyone who stood in his way. The king is obviously mad, and he rallied every man he has to capture this unknown man. But none of them succeed. Instead, a series of mass murders were coming. It's still vague whether the perpetrator is the kingdom's army or that unknown man. But it's already obvious that the greed for magic has turned into something terrible. After the series of mass murders happened, many nobles from the kingdom of Magna fled to other countries. The fleeing nobles managed to convince some of the countries they staying to declare war on the kingdom of Magna for various reasons. Some of the reasons are to stop the mass killing of its people just because of the search for the unknown man. Some of it is because they were persuaded by the lies of nobles who claim to know where is this unknown man and promise to give them this unknown man. And some are just wanting to take control of the kingdom after seeing the kingdom has been weakened by one unknown man. And that's not the end of the story. Those kingdoms who declared war on the kingdom of Magna didn't actually form an alliance. So when they entered the kingdom, they started a war with each other because their interest was colliding with each other. This conflict has been going on for 12 years, with no winner at all, and that unknown man is never to be found. There are so many rumors about this conflict, but none of them has a valid confirmation. The conflict has made many kingdoms suffer, and most of it is food problems. But at least, this conflict has made people wary of the magic power. Not for the power of magic itself, but the effect of greed that comes from it. To this day, many people still believe that the mass murders were caused by that unknown man who is said to have almost found magic. Many kingdoms prohibit the research for magic, including Castland. The trust between nations was the most fragile thing in this world. That's why, we need to behave ourselves and not do anything suspicious. But well, our kingdom has been put back to life by Bisel13 with the very first magic that exists in this world. Some suspicious neighboring countries might think that we hide something from Bisel13 and always try to meddle with our internal affairs. And the current conflict with my brother is by far the worst problem they have caused. I see, my, this is so much of a hassle. I got so many questions about this story. One of the most intriguing parts is this unknown man. If this unknown man can almost reproduce magic without magicule, I cannot imagine how he did it. Seal, do you have any idea about this? By my understanding alone, it's impossible to do magic without magicules, Master. Even holy magic and spiritual magic have magicule in their essence. And although holy magic consists of spiritrons, without a pact with God or at least a complete devout to someone, their will would never be strong enough to control the spiritrons. And about spirit magic, it's impossible because of the simple fact that there are also no spirits in this world. At least, that's what can I conclude, Master. I see. Velgrand can revive the soil in this kingdom and do everything to make this kingdom prosper. Without any other thing on my mind, it's actually not that hard to achieve it by elemental magic alone. Velgrand has a huge pool of magicule, it's no wonder she can do anything with that. But without magicule, then how can this unknown person almost recreate magic? Wait, before I can get into that, what does this guy actually have already done until he considered has almost recreated magic? Can I ask a question? Sure, Rimuru. This unknown person, you said he almost recreated magic. What does that mean exactly? Is he able to do what I did last night? It's actually difficult to answer that since all we heard about it was only a rumor. The rumors said he could move very fast, create an invisible blade, see people from far away, stop the flow of water in the river, destroy a huge rock just by touching it, and some other small things like he has no limit on stamina, he doesn't need to eat, and no need to sleep. It has many more various rumors, but what I can conclude is he can enhance his body in every aspect. Interesting, I found it interesting too, Master. Say, Seal, is this probably an awakening of skill instead? It's possible, but the possibility is low. The souls in this world weren't strong enough to contain a skill. Unless someone like Constance could probably gain a skill because the part of his soul has good compatibility with skills. Constance's soul has a part of Shizue-san's soul, and that part of Shizue-san's soul is the reason why he could be awakening a skill. Is that what you mean, Seal? Yes, it is, Master. Then it could be another people from our world, or any other world who can awaken a skill was died and reincarnated here. That's also a possibility, right? Yes, Master. But the probability is very low, due to not every human can awaken a skill. Not even a common one. All right, but that's already a good hypothesis. But if those rumors are true, this has to be not an ordinary skill. Perhaps, it should be a unique skill level. It's hard to say since it's almost impossible to awaken common skill, let alone unique skill. If there's something else other than awakening skill, I cannot imagine anything else more possible about how this unknown person can do those things. Am I right, Seal? Oi. Why you're keeping quiet, Rimuru? Yes? I was startled by Constance's call. I guess I have been keeping quiet for some time there. I didn't mean to be rude, Rimuru. But from what we explain about magic, could you understand the problem? Oh crap, I was too absorbed with this unknown person tale, I almost didn't think about anything else. Okay, I'll try to remember it by myself since Seal doesn't seem to be in the mood to talk suddenly. So after remembering a part of their explanation, I tried to jump the gun. Do you mean, now because of what I've done last night, every other country is possibly trying to use this incident to pick a fight against us? Both Constance and Bisel13 nodded, and then, followed by Bisel13's statement. Rimuru-sama, this kingdom has been the most prosperous country in the whole continent. Our agriculture is far above any other country, and we have a lot of precious metals for trade. This is because of none other than Velgrand-sama's miracle through her magic power. And when Velgrand-sama went missing, nobody other than ourselves believed that she left us with nothing. The prosperous land, and the mysterious power of magic, for many years this kingdom has been attracting other countries to be taken for their own merit. Wars have raged out many times, but we were able to fend them off. But for this time, we've been on the edge. You mean, this time they used Constance and Prince Terrace to fight each other and weakened this nation's power? Exactly, Rimuru-sama. So that's why Marquis Hallinger didn't interfere in this conflict to preserve the remaining force. Both Constance and Bisel13 looked surprised. You know already about Marquis Hallinger, Rimuru? Yes, I've been talking about this with Alan-san this afternoon. I see, that's good then. If you already understand that, I guess you already knew why most of the noble house choose to stay neutral? Because they don't want to spend their force to do something that could prolong this conflict? Yes, exactly, Rimuru. For many noble houses, this conflict should have stayed away from their territory. It's understandable since their interest is to maintain their own territory. But I heard you're loved by the people. That's actually an exaggeration. Only the people in my principality are willing to follow me, not the entire populace of Castland Kingdom. That's why I treasured them a lot. Then why Bisel13 is willing to take Constance's side? Constance was almost tried to answer my question but halted by the tap on his shoulders by Bisel13. It's very simple, Rimuru-sama. It's because I have indebted to His Highness. It's only a small thing, Count Billard. Constance tries to interrupt, but Bisel13 doesn't seem disturbed by it. Who? May I inquire more about it? I didn't mean to suspect Bisel13, but if I have to work together with him, I need to know the reason why he's taking on Constance's side. Sure. Rimuru-sama. His Highness is underestimating his contribution to my life, that's why he thinks it's only a small thing. Then he continued with the story of when Bisel13 is still in the status of Baron. Bisel13 was able to ascend the status into account because of Constance's help. During the times when he was still a Baron, he got himself involved in an argument against another Baron. They were arguing about the border of their fief, and it became very heated until Bisel13 and the other Baron were summoned to the capital by the king. The king tried to mediate, but Bisel13 was pressed by his rival. At that moment, it was Constance who calmed the situation. Constance immediately brought a newer map, negotiated about the disputed border, and made Bisel13 win the arbitrary. And not just that, because of Bisel13's attitude during the arbitrary, the king has taken a liking to him and decided to raise his status into account on the spot, skipping the Viscount status. With the higher status, Bisel13 has higher authority and secures his territory better, and with that, Bisel13 put Constance in high regard. I see, I understand. That's a very sweet story if I have to say, Bisel13. Ho ho ho, it is right? By the way, Rimuru-sama, I have been wondering about something for a while. What is it, Bisel13? I may heard it wrong, but before, Rimuru-sama has called Velgrin-sama with Velgrin-san. Am I not hearing it wrong? Oopsie. This question also made Constance widen his eyes in surprise. It seems like he's not aware of it before. Yes, you heard it right, Bisel13. Crack my answer made both of them lean forward in their seat in seconds. Is that mean, you know her personally, Rimuru? Right. I'm sorry for my rudeness, but I really want to know it, Rimuru-sama. They shouted. I was surprised by their reaction, but I just sighed and scratched the back of my head. Yar yar. I really cannot hide anything in this world right now. Well, as a matter of fact, yes I am. I knew Velgrin-san very well. What does that mean, Rimuru? Please explain. Okay, calm down. From the start I already knew her personally since we're living in the same world. Same world? Yes, we call it Cardinal World. It's a world where magic is common, and many creatures live there. Please explain more, Rimuru-sama. Sigh, so that's it. I explained to them everything I can share. Fortunately, Seal is back on the server and helped me by providing a list of necessary points that I could talk about. I didn't tell them that I'm a king and demon lord, a sibling of Velgrind, especially the truth that I fought her, and some other pivotal remarks about me in Cardinal World. I wanted to be known just as an ordinary person who came into this world for a certain purpose. After I finished, Constance's face was still in surprise while Bisel13 regained his composure but still leaned forward on his seat. Unbelievable, so the legend is true, Constance let out a low murmur. Well, that's Velgrind-san, I know. We're not close, but I'm befriended by some of her compatriots. I see, Rimuru, you wouldn't believe that I have been struggling to accept this legend. Well, but hey, we've been straying from the important point. We should discuss the aftermath of the last night incident. I tried to avert the subject of our talks from Velgrind-san. Yes, Rimuru-sama is right, Your Highness. We can talk about it more after we finish with the main topic today. Right, forgive for my attitude, everyone. Don't sweat it, Constance. And now, let's back to our discussion, to be continued.